Firstly, I heartily welcome everyone and I hope you are safe at your respective places in this period of pandemic. Dear friends, I am Dr. Mohammad Anis, Assistant Professor, Department of Physics and Electronics, Maulana Azad College of Art, Science and Commerce, Aurangabad. Today, our department has organized a seminar to pay a tribute to one of the most eminent personality of India, known as Missile Man of India. That is none other than Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam sir. The topic of seminar is exploring electronics and its applications. The students of the undergraduate have prepared different topics in electronics and they have explored various applications of respective topics. In order to begin with, I humbly request our beloved principal sir to offer his opening remarks on the seminar. Respected principal sir.
Good morning to all participants of today's seminar. As we know that on 27 July 2015, Indian scientific fraternity had lost Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, who was the pioneer worker in developing the missile system for Indian defense, for which he was nationally and internationally known as Missile Man. In order to pay the tribute, humble tribute to one of the greatest scientists of India, Department of Physics and Electronics has arranged the seminar on the topic exploring electronics and its applications for undergraduate students. I congratulate Department of Physics and Electronics for arranging such activity to encourage the students of our college. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Now, I request the student from BSc third year, Khan Zainab, to give some insight about Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, sir.
Thanks, sir, for giving me opportunity to share some insights about the most eminent personality, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, sir. Today is the 6th death anniversary of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, sir, the most famous Indian scientist and politician who served as 11th President of India from 2002 to 2007. He came to be known as Missile Man of India following his work on development of ballistic missile and launch vehicle technology. He was often referred as People's President due to his generous, humble, and selfless nature. He was born on 15th October 1931 in Rameshwaram, Tamil Nadu, to a middle class Muslim family. Since the beginning of his days, he was very hardworking and diligent person. He helped his family to earn livelihood along with his studies. He was graduated in physics and later studied aerospace engineering at Madras Institute of Technology. He wanted to be a fighter pilot but missed the chance narrowly after he was placed at ninth position out of 25 candidates, since only 8 positions were available in IAF at that time. He was surely destined to achieve something bigger. As an aerospace scientist, he worked with well-known organizations like Defense Research and Development Organization DRDO and Indian Space Research Organization ISRO. Politics never attracted Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, sir. But in the year 2002, Indian National Democratic Alliance requested him to nominate himself for the post of president. Thinking of the nation, thinking of the nation and keen eagerness to work for the country made him to say yes. With the support of Indian National Democratic Alliance, he won the election and was selected as the President of India. He dreamed of making India one of the superpowers in the world. He also served as Chief Scientific Advisor to the Prime Minister between 1992 and 1999. During this time, India conducted its nuclear test called Pokhran 2, in which he played the pivotal role as the Chief Project Coordinator. He always encouraged everyone to work hard without thinking about the results. He believed if you work hard, you will definitely get the result as well. His efforts and contribution can never be forgotten. He was the recipient of several prestigious awards, including the Bharat Ratna, which is India's highest civilian honor. He left us on 27th July 2015 while serving the nation, delivering a lecture at Indian Institute of Management, Shillong, due to cardiac arrest. He was 83. At last, I would like to say, even though he left us, he is still in our hearts as the inspiration and motivation. His golden words and miraculous deeds will always be remembered. Thank you.
Thank you, Zainab. Now, I request the participant to present the topic sequentially.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sheikh Munib, and I am studying in BSc first year. I am thankful that I have been given the opportunity to explain the fundamentals of transistors for today's webinar. So let's begin with introduction. A transistor is a device that can be used as either an amplifier or a switch. Transistor is current controlling device. Transistors can be either NPN or PNP type. This is the particular symbol for NPN and PNP transistor. The three layers of BJT are called emitter, base and collector. Base is very thin compared to the other two layers. Base is slightly doped, emitter is heavily doped, collector is moderately doped. In NPN transistor, emitter and collector are made of N-type semiconductors. Base is P-type. In PNP transistors, emitter and collector are P-type, base is N-type. Both types NPN and PNP are extensively used, either separately or in the same circuit. BJT has two junctions, emitter-base junction and collector-base junction. The device is called bipolar junction transistor because current is due to motion of two types of charge carriers, free electrons and holes. Transistor analog to two diodes connected back to back, emitter-based diode and collector-based diode. Next one is transistor structure. In diodes, there is one p-n junction. In bipolar junction transistors, there are three layers and two p-n junctions. As you can see in this figure, a transistor has three sections of doped semiconductors. The section on one side is the emitter, the section on opposite side is the collector, and the middle is called base and forms two junctions between emitter and collector. This figure showing different transistor packages. Next one is transistor operation. Operation of NPN transistor is discussed here. For normal operation, amplifier application, emitter-based junction should be forward biased. Collector-based junction should be reverse biased. Depletion width at emitter-based junction is narrow. Depletion width at collector-based junction is wide. Transistor normal operation. In this figure, emitter-based junction is forward biased and collector-based junction is reverse biased. The direction of free electrons from emitter to collector. When emitter-base junction is forward biased, free electrons from emitter region drift towards base region. Some free electrons combine with holes in the base to form small base current. Inside the base region, free electrons are minority carriers, so most of the free electrons are swept away into the collector region due to reverse biased common base junction. Three currents can be identified in BJT. First one is emitter current, second one is base current, and third one is collector current. Current directions in NPN and PNP transistors. As you can see here, the emitter is shown by an arrow which indicates the direction of conventional current flows with forward bias. For NPN transistor, it is clear that conventional current flow out of emitter as indicated by the outgoing arrow. Similarly, for PNP transistor, PNP transistor, the conventional current flow towards emitter as indicated by the inward arrow. For both varieties, I is equals to IC plus IB. It means emitter current is the sum of collector and base current. Common base configuration. Base is common between input and output, hence the name common base configuration. Resistors are not shown here for simplicity. In this figure, input voltage is represented by VEB, input current is represented by IE, output voltage is represented by VCB, and output current is represented by IC. Common base input characteristics. It is the curve between emitter current and emitter base voltage at constant collector base voltage. The emitter current increases rapidly with small increase in emitter base voltage. It means that input resistance is very small. Collector current is almost independent of collector base voltage. Common base output characteristics. It is the curve between collector current and collector base voltage at constant emitter current. The collector current varies with VCB only at very low voltages. The transistor is never operated in this region. When the value of VCB rises above 1 to volt, the collector current becomes constant, as indicated by the straight horizontal curves. It means that now IC is independent on VCB and depends upon emitter current only. Active region. Emitter base junction forward biased, collector base junction reverse biased. IC is positive, VCB is positive. IC increases with IE. Cutoff region. When IE is equals to 0 and IC is equals to ICBO. ICBO is collector to base current with emitter open. Below this line, we have cutoff region. Here, both junctions are reverse biased. Saturation region. Region to the left of y-axis. Here, both junctions are forward biased. IC decreases exponentially and eventually changes direction. Common emitter configuration. Emitter is common between input and output, hence the name common emitter configuration. Resistors are omitted for simplicity. In this figure, input voltage is represented by VBE, input current is represented by IB, output voltage is represented by VCE, and output current is represented by IC. Common emitter input characteristics. It is the curve between base current and base emitter voltage at constant collector emitter voltage. As compared to common base arrangement, IB increases less rapidly with VBE. Therefore, input resistance of collector-emitter circuit is higher than that of collector common base circuit. Common emitter output characteristics. It is the curve between collector current and collector emitter voltage at constant base current. The collector current varies with VCE. For VCE is 0 to 1 volt only. After this, collector current becomes almost constant and independent on VCE. The values This value of VCE up to which collector current changes with VCE is called knee voltage. The transistors are always operated in the region above knee voltage. Active region. Linear region in the output characteristics. Emitter base junction forward biased, collector base junction reverse biased. IC increases with IB. Cutoff region. Region below base current is equal to zero line. Saturation region. Region to the left of the vertical line. VCE is equal to VCE is equal to 0.3 for silicon. So here end of my topic. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. I am Khan Muhammad Talha and I am studying in BSc First Year Electronic. I am thankful that I have been given the opportunity to describe different logic gate for today's seminar. The definition of gate is a device that performs a basic operation on electrical signals. When we study gates, there are three parameters that we know: Boolean expression, logic diagram, truth table. There are 6 types of fundamental gates: NOT, AND, OR, XOR, NAND and NOR. The first one is NOT gate. A NOT gate accepts one input signal and return the opposite signal as output. This is the Boolean expression for NOT gate, and this is the corresponding symbol for NOT gate. The truth table represents the operation for NOT gate. A is the input and X is the output. When input is 0, then output will be 1, otherwise the output will be 0. Second one is AND gate. An AND gate accepts two input signals. If both are 1, the output is 1, otherwise the output is 0. This is the Boolean expression of AND gate, and this is logic diagram for AND gate. The truth table represents the operation for AND gate. There are two inputs and one output. When if both inputs are 1, then the output will be 1, otherwise the output will be 0. Third one is NAND gate. A NAND gate accepts two input signals. If both are 1, the output is 0, otherwise the output is 1. This is the Boolean expression for NAND gate, and this is the logic diagram for NAND gate. The truth table represents the operation for NAND gate. AB is the input and X is the output. When both the inputs are 1, the output will 0, otherwise the output will be 1. Fourth one is OR gate. An OR gate accepts two input signals. If both are 0, the output is 0, otherwise the output is 1. This is the Boolean expression for OR gate, and this is the corresponding symbol of OR gate. The truth table represents the operation of OR gate. AB is the input and X is the output. When both the input are 0, then the output will be 0, otherwise the output will be 1. The fourth one is NOR gate. The NOT gate accepts two input signals. If both are 0, the output is 1, otherwise the output is 0. This is the Boolean expression of NOR gate, and this is the corresponding symbol of NOR gate. The truth table represent the operation for NOR gate is AB is the input and X is the output. When both the inputs are 0, the output will be 1, otherwise the output will be 0. The fifth one is XOR gate. An XOR gate accepts two input signals. If both are the same, the output is 0, otherwise the output is 1. This is the Boolean expression for XOR gate. This is corresponding symbol of XOR gate. The truth table represents the operation for XOR gate. AB is the input and X is the output. When both the input are same, the output will be 0, otherwise the output will be 1. Note the difference between the XOR gate and the OR gate. They differ only in one input situation. When both input signals are 1, the OR gate produces a 1 and the XOR produces a 0. XOR is called the exclusive OR. Review of gate processing. A NOT gate inverts its signals input. An AND gate produces 1 if both input value are 1. An OR gate produces 0 if both inputs value are 0. An XOR gate produces 0 if both value are the same. A NAND gate produces 0 if both inputs are 1. A NOR gate produces a 1 if both inputs are 0. Thank you.
Good morning to all of you. My name is Sheikh Saad. I am studying BSc first year electronics. I am thankful that I have been given opportunity to share my knowledge about application of diode for today's seminar. For the introduction, diode are having various application in different type. Diode are usually used as rectifier and it is also used as limiting and claiming circuit. I am going to discuss about one of the important application of diode, that is rectifier. In this black diagram, it is a black diagram of DC power supplying, and diode rectifier is one of the important component of power supply. In this figure, this is a transformer. Transformer is connected to a diode rectifier. Diode rectifier is connected to a filter. Filter is connected to a voltage regulator, and output is connected to a load. The half-wave rectifier. It is a circuit diagram of half-wave rectifier. This is profile of input and output of half-wave rectifier. This black line show the input signal of the half-wave rectifier. This blue line show the output signal of the half-wave rectifier. During the positive cycle, diode is forward bias, hence we get the output. During the negative cycle, diode is reverse bias, hence we get the output is 0. Thus, we can say that the half-wave rectifier is utilize alternative half cycle. Full wave rectifier. It is the circuit diagram of full wave rectifier. This is profile of input and output of full wave rectifier. This black line show the input current of the full wave rectifier. This blue line show the output signal of the full wave rectifier. During the positive half cycle, diode D1 is connected to a positive terminal and diode D2 is connected to a negative terminal. Hence, we get the output due to diode D1 during the positive half cycle. During the negative half cycle, diode D2 is connected to a positive terminal and diode D1 is connected to a negative terminal. Hence, we get the output due to diode D2 during negative half cycle. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. My name is Sheikh Alfia and I am studying in BSc first year electronics. I am thankful that today I have been given the opportunity to present the topic types of diodes for today's seminar. In this presentation, I am going to discuss the basics of diode and different types of diode. This is the symbol of diode, and diode is defined as semiconductor device with two terminals that allows the unidirectional flow of current. The diodes are made of silicon germanium, but diodes are majorly constructed using silicon because it offers less leakage current. This symbol is represent the diode which will conduct when it is forward biased and does not conduct when it is reverse biased. The diode can be used various circuits as reverse voltage protection, rectifying, display, light sensing. This symbol is represent of semiconductor diode. Let's discuss the few types of diode that are available. Basic semiconductor diode, it is also called as PN junction diode. This diode are used for unidirectional flow of current. This symbol is represent the Zener diode. It is the specially purpose diode which conduct in reverse bias mode. Zener diode are used for voltage regulation. This symbol is represent the light emitting diode. Light emitting diode is also called as LED. Light emitting diodes are designed with a very large band gap, so movement of carriers across their depletion region emits photons of light's energy. Lower band gap LEDs, light emitting diodes, emits infrared radiation, while LEDs with higher band gap energy with visible light. This symbol is represent the photodiodes. While photodiodes emit light, photodiodes are sensitive to receive light. They are constructed so their PN junction can be exposed to the outside through a clear window or lens. Photoconductive mode and photovoltaic mode. Thank you. Have a nice day.
I am Syed Mustaqim and I am studying in BSc first year electronics. I am thankful that I have given the opportunity to present the topic passive component for today's seminar. Components. Components are basic building blocks of any electrical circuit. Electronic components are basically divided into two types, active components and passive components. Active components can supply and control the electron motion in circuit. Passive components. Passive components can only influence the electron passing through it. These are some examples of active and passive components. Active components like transistor, diode, LED, photodiode, integrated circuit, operational amplifier, 7-segment display, and battery. Passive components like resistor, LDR, thermistor, capacitor, inductor, switch, variable resistor, and transformer. First one is resistor. Resistor can oppose the flow of current. Formula for resistor is R is equals to V upon I, and the unit of resistor is ohm. These are the different types of resistor, linear resistor and non-linear resistor. Linear resistor are classified into two types, fixed resistor and variable resistor. And non-linear resistor is classified into four types, thermistor, LDR, varistor, and fixable resistor. These are the symbols of special resistors. Color code method is used to indicate the value of resistance. Next one is capacitors. Capacitors can store and release the charge. Capacitors used as a filter circuit. Tendency of capacitor to pass AC signals and block DC signals. In a diagram, both places is connected to an electrical charge. In the middle of them, this is a dielectric material. These are the symbol of capacitor. The unit of capacitor is Faraday. Capacitors. Formula for capacitor is C is equals to Q upon V. These are the different types of capacitors, polar capacitors, non-polar capacitors, and variable capacitors. The next one is inductors. Inductors can store energy in the form of magnetic field, and the unit of inductor is Henry. Types of inductors. Inductors are classified into three types, air core inductor, iron core inductor, and ferrite core inductor. In air core inductor, the core is completely absent. In iron core inductor, iron core is kept between a coil. In ferrite core inductor, ferrite core is placed inside a coil. The last one is transformer. Transformer is a device is used to convert AC signals to the required values by increasing or decreasing. Transformer cannot affect on frequency. This is a particular image of transformer. Working of transformer. One coil is connected to a AC signals and another coil is connected to a load. Amount of electricity transferred from one coil to another coil through the magnetic field. Transformer works on a principle of mutual induction. Transformer classified into two types, step up transformer and step down transformer. In step up transformer, primary coil having less winding as compared to a secondary coil. The formula for step up transformer is Vs is greater than Vp. In step down transformer, primary coil having more winding as compared to a secondary coil. And the formula for step down transformer is Vs is less than Vp. These are the different types of transformer available in market. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sayyid Shahbaz. Today, I have a very interesting topic, that is digital communication system. Nowadays, we are using widely digital communication system. Now, I am going to explain what is digital communication system. This is a information introduction about digital communication system. A transmission information in the form of binary code is called digital communication system. Transfer of data between two computers is a part of digital communication. Next, this is a block diagram of digital communication system. The upper block diagram is transmitter and lower block diagram is receiver. Now we will see each element one by one. The first one, information source and input transducer. The source of information can be analog or digital. Audio or video signal, these are the example of analog signal. In digital communication system, the signal produced by this source is converted into digital, which consists zeros and ones. That's why we need source decoder. Now next element is source decoder. The process of efficiently converting the output of whether analog or digital into sequence of binary digit is known as source information. This binary digit in source is also known as information source. Next one is channel decoder. It reduces the effect of noise and interference encountered in the transmission of the digital signal through the channel. Digital demodulator. It is the process of the converting the sequence of binary into electrical signal so that we can transmit them. Now this is the receiving section. Digital demodulator. The digital demodulator processes the transmitted waveform and reduce the waveform to the sequence of number that represent estimate of the transmitted data symbols. Channel decoding. Channel decoding. This sequence of the number then passes through the channel decoder, which attempts or reconstruct the original information sequence from the knowledge of the code used by the channel decoder and the redundancy contained in the received data. Next is source decoder. At the end, source decoder decodes the sequence from the knowledge of the encoding algorithm and which result in the approximate replica of the input at the transmitted end. Finally, output transducer. Finally, we get the desired signal in the desired form, analog or digital. Thank you.
I am Sheikh Shabnam Ayub, student of BSc Second Year Electronics. Today I am going to talk about history of computers. There has been significant development in the field of computer science and technology. Until now, 4 generations have been developed, and this has been possible due to development of electronics and semiconductors. Computing can be done in 2 ways: conventional computing and unconventional computing. Conventional computing is depend on semiconductor technologies, and this is smaller, faster, and less power. Unconventional computing is quantum, chemical, and molecular computers. This component is used a different generation of the computers. First generation, vacuum tubes are used. Second generation, transistors were used. Third generation, ICs are used. And the last, fourth generation, better IC technologies are used. First generation of computer is developed during year 1954 to 56. They were used vacuum tubes as switches, magnetic drums used as a memory, and they are very big, unreliable, and slow. This picture shows first generation of the computer. Second generation of computer is developed during year 1956 to 63. After invention of these transistors is used as a building blocks of a computer. They are smaller, faster, and cheaper, and they limited to military and business use. Second generation of computers is shown in this picture. Third generation is developed during year 1964 to 71. After invention of integrated circuit, IC is a small chip that can function as a microprocessor. Many transistors can be packed into this IC. Intel 8008 is one of the first 8-bit microprocessor and then Intel 4004. They medium scale integrations and large scale integration. This picture shows earlier Intel microprocessors. The third generation of the computers is shown in this picture. Fourth generation of computer is developed during year 1971 to now. They improvements in IC technology and microprocessor design. More transistors and more processing power. They are very large scale integrations, reduce instruction set computers, and it is 64-bit microprocessors. This picture shows fourth generation of the computer. Comparison. First generation of computer is UNIVAC, speed is 1.3 kHz, memory 1 megabyte, and its cost is $1.6 million. Second generation of computer is IBM 1401, speed is 2.2 kHz, memory 1.4 kilobyte, and its cost is $47,900. Third generation of computer is DEC PDP-8, speed is 1 megahertz, memory 6 kilobyte, and its cost is $20,000. And the last fourth generation of computer is Pentium 3, speed 500 megahertz, memory 128 megabyte, and its cost is $700. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Sheikh Khwaja Tausif. I'm from BSc second year. Today, we will discuss about amplitude modulation for electronic seminar. Let's start. History of modulation. The first amplitude modulated signal was transmitted in 1901 by a Canadian engineer named Reginald Fessenden. He took a continuous spark transmission and placed a carbon microphone in the antenna lead. Next. Types of modulation. There are two types of modulation, the analog modulation and digital modulation. Today we will discuss about amplitude modulation, which belongs to analog modulation. Next. Definition. The modulation of a wave by varying its amplitude, used specially as a means of broadcasting an audio signal by combining it with a radio carrier wave. It's called modulation. Next. Introduction. Amplitude modulation is the simplest and earliest form of transmitters. AM applications include broadcasting in medium and high frequency applications, CB radio and aircraft communications. Next. Basic amplitude modulation. In this slide, the amplitude modulation can be graphically represented. This one is modulating signal and that one is carrier signal. When modulated signal impose on carrier signal, then we will get modulated signal as you show in this graph. Okay, next. AM characteristics. AM is a non-linear process. Sum and difference frequencies are created that carry the information. Okay, next. Full carrier AM time domain modulation index, the ratio between the amplitudes of the modulated signal and carrier expressed by the equation m is equals to em upon ec. M stand for modulation index, EM stand for modulation voltage index, and EC stand for carrier voltage index. Next, application of AM. First is broadcasting transmission. In broadcasting transmission, AM is widely used for broadcasting on the long, medium, short wave bands. Next is airband radio. VHF transmission for many airborne application still used AM. It's used for ground to air communication as well. Single sideband. AM in the form of signal sideband is used for HF radio links using lower bandwidth. Fourth is quadrature amplitude modulation. AM is widely used for transmission of data in everything from short-range wireless links such as Wi-Fi to cellular.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sayyid Zulkarnain from BSc second year. In this presentation, I will be compare 8085 and 8086 macroprocessor. First parameter is size. 8085 is 8-bit macroprocessor, but 8086 is 16-bit macroprocessor. Next parameter is address bus. 8085 has 16-bit address bus, but 8086 has 20-bit address bus. Next parameter is memory. 8085 can access up to 64 KB memory and 8086 can access up to 1 MB of memory. Next parameter is pipelining. 8085 doesn't support a pipeline architecture, but 8086 supports a pipeline architecture. Next parameter is data bus. Multiplexing data bus is absent in 8085 macroprocessor, but multiplexing data bus is present in 8086 macroprocessor. Next parameter is flag. 8085 has 5 flag: carry, parity, sign, 0, auxiliary. But 8086 has 9 flag: carry, parity, sign, 0, auxiliary, direction, trap, interrupt, overflow. Next parameter is maximum mode and minimum mode. 8085 macroprocessor has no minimum mode or maximum mode. 8086 macroprocessor can operate in any one of minimum mode or maximum mode. Next parameter is transistor. 8085 macroprocessor has less transistor, but 8086 macroprocessor has high transistor. These are the macroprocessor. These are the compare between macroprocessor 8085 and 8086. Thank you.
Good morning, one and all. Myself, Khan Zainab from BSc third year, Maulana Azam College, Aurangabad. My plan of presentation is as follows: recognition of problem, basics of PLC, counters in PLC, which includes up counter and down counter with some examples. The modern era comprises of working machine rather than humans. That is, the humans are being replaced by machines in industries, factories, and so on, because machines can outperform humans in a range of work activities. For instance, in a factory, total 5,000 products are manufactured per day. If a human has given a job to count those products, the work will be time consuming and can also lead to inaccuracy of results. Contrary, on the other hand, if we program a software to count that products, we can have our work done quickly and more precisely. So let's look towards the PLC counter. In particular, we will look on Allen Bradley PLC counter. Before we start counting in PLC program, there are some basics we should know first. These are the basic information about the counter instruction and the PLC itself. The memory block in which the programmer can store and manipulate the software is called the processor file. Processor file consists of program files and data files. Program file stores the ladder logic programs, whereas the data file stores input-output status, processor status, the status of various bits, and the numerical data. There are 256 data files as shown in the table. The counters are stored by default in data file 5 and use a file designator C. It can have addresses ranging from 0 to 255. The counter file can have up to 256 elements. For further counter instructions, file number 10 to 255 can be assigned as additional counter file. Each file has its own unique address and has registers that store 16-bit word. The register contain data that is organized into segments called as elements. The size of element vary depending upon the type of file. One element of counter file is equals to 3 words. First word stores the status bit, second word is for preset value, third word holds the accumulated value. Preset value. This value is something given by the user before execution of program. This value specifies up to which value the counter have to count. Accumulated value. This value stores the current time value of the counter. The accumulated value either increments with a false to true transition in case of up counter or decrements with a false to true transition in case of down counter. The first word of counter stores the status bits. From the 16-bit of this word, the first 11 bits, that is from bit 0 to bit 10, are reserved for PLC and are not available for the programmer. And the remaining 5 bits, that is from bit 11 to bit 15, are the status bits, which are as follows. Bit 15. Bit 15 is the up count enable bit, CU. This bit sets when the condition of rung where the up counter is located becomes true. Bit 14. Bit 14 is the down counter enable bit denoted by CD. This bit sets when the condition of rung is true where the down counter is located. Bit 13. Bit 13 is the done bit. It sets when the accumulator value is equals to or greater than the preset value. Bit 12. Bit 12 is the overflow bit used with the up counter. This bit sets to logic 1 where the accumulated value exceeds the maximum count of 32,767. Bit 11 is the underflow bit used with the down counter. This bit sets when the accumulator value goes below the minimum count of minus 32,767. These are all the prerequisites we need for our counters. So let's move on to counters. Commonly, there are two types of counter functions performed by PLC. That is up counting and down counting. The choice of which one to use depends on the application. The first counter we will discuss about is the up counter. We can visualize the symbol of up counter on our screens. Whenever we are using the up counter, we will see this type of symbol in the ladder logic at the right side of rung, since the counters are the output instructions. The abbreviation CTU stands for count up, which indicates up counter is being used. After selecting the up counter, file address must be entered after the word counter to identify the location where the instruction is stored. Here C5:0 is entered, which represents the first element of counter file. As we know, C5 is the counter and its corresponding data file number 5, colon is the element delimiter, and 0 shows first element from the 256 elements of counter file is being used. After the address has been given, the preset value should be set as per the requirement. Here, the preset value is set for 5, which indicates that 5 events are to be counted, and the accumulated value gets incremented by 1 each time the event occurs. Whenever the up counter is enabled, the count up bit CU goes high. Each count occurs when the counter's rung changes from false to true logic condition. Number of events gets recorded in the accumulator. When accumulated value reaches the preset value, the done bit 13 will set. If counting continues beyond the preset value, the done bit will remain set. If count goes beyond 32,767, that is the maximum count of up counter, the overflow bit 12 OV will set. Reset instruction is required to clear the accumulated value. So the status bits that are affected in the up counter are the count up enable bit CU, done bit DN, and the overflow bit OV. Analogously, we can see down counter. At the time we select the down counter, this type of symbol appears. As you can observe, the symbol of down counter is similar to that of up counter. Here, the abbreviation CTD stands for count down, which means down counter is being used. As we have seen in the up counter, in the same way we have to give address in the down counter. Whenever the down counter is enabled, makes the countdown bit CD high. Down counter instruction will decrement by 1 each time the rung condition is true. Number of events is recorded in the accumulator. When accumulated value gets equals to the preset value, the done bit DN will set. If counting continues beyond the preset value, the done bit will remain set. If the count goes below the minimum count, that is minus 32,767, the underflow bit UN will set. Reset instruction is required to clear the accumulated value. So the bits that are affected in down counter are the countdown enable bit CD, done bit DN, and the underflow bit UN. In down counter, we must take a note that the accumulated value must be greater than the preset value. As we are connected through an online platform, let us virtually visit a factory to experience PLC counter in person. This is the up counter connected to the conveyor belt. An optical sensor is installed to count the object. Each time the object passes the sensor, the accumulated value gets incremented by 1. Here, the preset value is set for 100. In this typical case, it is so programmed that as the accumulated value reaches the preset value, the conveyor belt stops moving. As the reset button is pressed, the accumulated value goes 0 and the process continues. The second example is of packing certain amount of products in a single unit. As we can observe, the latch is made such that when 6 packets arrives one side, the latch moves. Let us spectate one cycle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and the latch moves. In this particular example, down counters can be used. Here, the accumulated value is set to 6 and the preset value to 0. Each time the sensor detects the packet, the accumulated value gets decremented by 1. As 6 packets are detected by the sensor, the accumulated value goes 0 and now the accumulated value gets equal to the preset value. The program is so designed that as the accumulated value gets equal to the preset value, the reset instruction is activated, which retains the data of accumulator and the preset value, so that again the accumulator value sets to 6 and the preset value to 0. In this way, 6 packets is loaded in a single unit. Thank you.